Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and today we're playing House of Legacy, and this is going to be a tutorial video on how to really get started and kind of just progress. I don't really know how the late game really works because the empire that I'm with or whatever hasn't, or kingdom, honestly I don't really know what you would call it, maybe probably kingdom, but yeah, we haven't conquered all the areas yet, so I don't really know what happens like in the end, or if there even is like an end goal. There probably isn't, just because it's a sandbox game, or like if you know what those kind of are, they don't really have like an end goal. It's just to keep on running. So, anyways, this is kind of like to show how to get started and how to really play. I did make another video on this, but I didn't really like how I did it because my tips and stuff were kind of like around the place. So this time I have like a small strip, a little nudge to show me like kind of where I'm supposed to talk about certain stuff. And yeah, I think it's gonna go fine. So anyways, we're gonna get like started with this. So let's go right into the character creation, which yeah. So you have your basic character creation, which is obviously, you know, your avatar, and then you have this, and you can male, female. This doesn't really matter. The only difference is like, um, just how your character is. So let's go into the character traits, which is probably one of the most important things to do. So let's kind of get started. So I guess to start on character traits. So basically you have multiple different character traits and they all represent something different. So for example, this row is linked to the writing stat, which is essentially intelligence. This stat right here is clumsy, unskilled, and masterful. That one's based on your might stat, or it would be your strength stat. This stat, non-business trader merchant, is your business stat. Tone deaf, novice, and musician is based on your art stat. Tactless, simple, and cunning, that is based on your cunning stat, which I'll be honest, I really don't know what this is used for. I do have a character that's actually really high in cunning, and honestly, I'm really confused. I'm pretty sure it just probably affects like how you interact with like political things or something in the game, but I'm honestly not really sure how that works. Um, so anyways, onto this, we have plain, unremarkable, and beautiful. This is based on your charisma stat. Unlucky, average, and fortunate, obviously your luck stat. Atrocious, emergent, and renowned, that is based on your fame stat. So these all kind of just lead to something that, based on what you can get. There are some things that I will tell you to probably get, but you don't have to follow it. And in my opinion, you should probably go for the masterful stat, because I feel like that's the best stat, or the easiest stat to kind of just raise your character up. So like if it were me, I'd probably take unlearned, because to be quite honest, scholarly is pretty good, but it's better to use in like the early stages. Maybe it's pretty decent if you have like a lot of writing books, but if you're beginning the game, you're not gonna really have that many books because you need money to purchase those books. So, in my opinion, unlearn is pretty good, but just know that if you do take the unlearn stat, you're gonna have a hard time in developing your characters in the writing stat. But it honestly doesn't really matter, because the only thing it does influence is you passing the imperial exams and, well, getting an official role through the passive way instead of the way I usually do it, which is through war. So next, let's kind of go through these. In my opinion, you should probably just shoot for these two to be plus these plus ones, because I'll be quite honest, they're not that useful. I've been trying to like see the usefulness of art and business, and to be quite honest, it's only useful if you're like interacting with characters, but it's so little. Like for example, in the business section, you can trade with characters on the field, but it's really not worth it. And in certain cases, you can negotiate certain things, but I'll be honest, with raw power, you can basically kind of take over everything. So yeah, that's about that. And then for these, honestly, just go nothing. Like it really doesn't really affect anything, to be quite honest. I mean, you could maybe shoot for something else, but in my opinion, it's not really worth it. I think this is a pretty good character build because you're kind of super focusing in might, and your character will ascend to like the goal is to send your character all the way to like a general, which I will explain later on like what that means and what that does. But yeah, I mean, this is generally what my character would have been if I actually knew the game earlier or knew how to play it. I don't really think that this is worth it because it's too expensive for one, and for two, I just it's kind of hard to grow your writing if you're super like if you're starting at like around 18, which is basically I think what your character starts at. Now you can obviously get scholarly still. If you really do want to try that path, I do recommend probably going like maybe no tactless or something with clumsy. Wait, I'm missing one point. And I don't know, maybe like notorious or something. I don't know because actually no, probably plain is fine. This isn't too bad. You don't want your luck to be really bad because I think that actually makes you susceptible to diseases, and if you don't have any money at the beginning of the game, it does make it a bit harder, but he's not that bad. So I'll show you how to make money really quickly, but overall, I think Masterful is the best path, and I mean, you could obviously go mediocre and everything, but in my opinion, it's not that worth it because it does make it harder on you. So now let's go into the actual game, which I will explain kind of how to start and everything. I won't be going through the tutorial because I think that's kind of boring for one. So let's kind of go through how the game kind of starts. So in the beginning of the game, you go through a whole cutscene or a whole like tutorial which shows you how to like do certain things, such as how to interact with the game. But you're also going to go through the beginning tutorial. Now your best thing to do is to probably just finish any of the news or any of the quests that you see because they give you renown, and renown is essentially your EXP. So with the EXP, you level up and you're able to do and unlock more things such as buildings or unlock more things on the map, such as like I think if you have enough renown, you can build more things in the provinces, such as the shop buildings and stuff, because I mean that's really important for your economy, and you can also buy more houses and stuff. And I'll explain how to do all this stuff in a moment. But yeah, renown is probably one of the most important things to probably try to focus on, just because that is related to your level, and the higher level you are, the more things you have access in the game. I believe when you hit level 20 is basically the max. There's not really much that you can unlock after that, but you know, more renown doesn't really hurt, so I do recommend just getting more if you can. But obviously you don't have to. That's your choice. So anyways, let's go into the first thing. So when you begin the game, you are given, after you like finish the tutorial of the game, after it gives you like to do stuff, we'll talk about having to make money, because I think money is probably the most important thing in this. It gives you the most freedom to do stuff in this game, because with money you're able to like literally influence your relationships, which is like kind of essential if you want to rise in the political realm. So for example, I have 21% court influence, which means I can do a lot of things. I mean, you can kind of see how I quite literally have a lot of people. Anyone that says resigned is essentially someone part of my family. I can even impeach this dude if I really wanted to, or if I wanted to try. But of course, you only have a relationship of 5. I actually kind of want to impeach him now, but I won't, because I won't. So, you know, he's there because I'll let him exist. But anyways, so let's kind of go into how to start the game and making money, because money is obviously going to be something that you're going to need. So to begin this game, there are a few methods to make money. So for example, you could talk to these guys and sell these ornaments, and you can buy these ornaments from these people. Now, I did try this as a method to make money, but it is honestly not that efficient because it is really slow, and it does take one whole day out of your thing. Now, to be quite honest, the days don't really matter, to be quite fair. I literally have it 10 times speed because I feel like the game is really slow, and I'm still at 52, and I've already achieved quite a lot. I mean, I have 545 million coins. I don't really know how much this converts to USD, so yeah. And then gold-wise, I have a lot of gold. I mean, I'll be talking about how to really do this, but Anyways, so your first method to make money would be to literally buy houses such as these, and then you can do one or two things. So one, you can either rent the house to renters, or you can get retainers, which I believe it does show you how to get the retainers, but if you do not know, you can quite literally just click a character, and then if you see them and they have decent stats, so for this one they don't really have any good stats, or you can go to the citizens over here and kind of just pay attention to like what they have in terms of stats. The max stat would be 100, and that is generally what you would want to go for, but if you do not get that, that is okay. So for example, right here, we have 100 in art. So what you can do is, all right, apologies for that. I was caught up in something real quick. Anyways, so back to the recruiting thing. So yeah, basically you just recruit them, and generally, they would either offer you something. And by the way, if they don't offer you, they don't agree, you can just keep doing it until they you're just forcing them. Like the only choice that they have is to literally go onto your side, or else you will keep pestering them. But anyways, that's how you recruit a retainer. Now, what you can do with the retainer that you get, which I have multiple right now, if you have extra retainers, what you can do is quite literally just chuck them right into the house, and then they will start making you money. Now, for this retainer right here, she's the only retainer that I have in this place, and I pay her 1,260 a month, and she nets me 2,166. So it might not seem that much just because like I have a lot of money, but in the beginning of the game, you don't really have anything. So it is kind of ideal to just straight up do this. Now, let's go into another way to make money. So there's two other ways to make money. So another way to make money is to just build these stores. Now, you do get access to, I believe, the general store and I think the grocery store, but I'm not 100% sure. You realistically do want to get these ones because these ones will make you way more money. But obviously that's at like level 20 and 16 or something, so it does take a while. So I wouldn't really stress too much about it, but they do make you some decent money. I mean, you make about 8,000 in revenue. I'm only paying 200 to these employees, which means that's like 6,600, 700, 800, 700. 6,600 per month. Yeah, this comes out monthly, so that's how much you make, which isn't too bad. And you can kind of see from my accounting. For auto profits, I make about 1 million per month. So it's not too bad, or yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously, I can build more if I really wanted to. For example, I mean, I have the money to do it, so I could literally build an exchange right here. And that's like right there. Examine. Actually, wait, I've actually never done this before. This is actually new to me. But yeah. So what I can do is do this. Hire a bunch of employees. And boost the revenue by a lot. So that's essentially what you can do. And then if I really wanted to, I could also sell some stuff. This is actually this is really new to me. I actually don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Select that. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot you can just buy. See, you can do that if you want to like get your business and stuff. Now, obviously, there's more things to this, but I'm not going to get into it too much because there's a lot of things. Anyways, and this is also for more of the late game, so I'm not going to really talk about that too much. This is literally get you out of the early game. Oh, yeah. So you can build these stores, and they can net you revenue per month, which is pretty good. And I mean that's what you really want. Now, the last method to make money, which I think is probably the most effective way to make money, is going to be through the banks. So the thing is with the banks is that they have a thing called gold, which is this thing. Now I have a lot of gold ingots because of my family and stuff, but I'm so sorry about that. I'm like kind of out here, but as you can see, you have a thing to convert currencies. Now here's the thing, this currency right here can convert changes every single month. So you can convert your ingots and your gold to ingots or your ingots to gold, depending on how you want it to be. So if you look in this case, right now, the currency is 8,700, which means when I buy it, it costs 8,700 per ingot to get. Now, every single month, the ingots refresh. And when they refresh, they can change from between the values of 8,000 to 12,000. 12,000 being the highest, 8,000 being the lowest. You want to generally be buying the ingots for lower than 10,000 and then selling these ingots for when they're more than 10,000. Now, generally, I try to go anything lower than 9,500, I immediately buy. Anything that's above 10,500, I immediately sell, because that's like really the only way you can really do it. And the thing is that if your place has multiple banks, that is better because each bank has a different amount of quotas, which means that's how many times you can exchange in that place. So the more places that you have those, the better, and it is probably the most efficient way to get money in the beginning before you start unlocking economies in different places. I'll talk about how to do that later, but that's essentially how you kind of play the early game of this part in terms of the economy. So to just recap it all, get houses, get retainers, put them in those houses, or just rent them out. You can get these stores and place them out here, and then they'll make you money per month. And then use the banks with their conversion system. So buy low, sell high. All right. So we got that out of the way. Let's go to the next part, which the next part will be, we'll talk about the actual wars and actually how to unlock the next places, which will branch into the next part. So when you begin the game, for example, I started my place here in the Danyang province. You get to basically click one of these areas. I think you can click some of these areas too, but I'm not 100% sure how it works totally because I've just clicked places where they're next to a place that I've unlocked. But essentially what you can do is that you can click one of these places and then you unlock it, and which means your kingdom or the royal capital will start to attack that place. And generally they would have the rebels, and these are fallen cities. So what you can do is that when the royal capital sends a military over there, you will send your character to go fight in that military. And if they come back, which I haven't really seen anyone fail to come back, but who knows. But as long as when you send them and they have enough might, they will generally make a name for themselves or a title. So they get bestowed on a title, and then you start earning an actual wage. So for example, my character over here, General of the Cavalry, they get 6 of that gold per month, which is pretty good. But I believe you do start off at 2, then you get 4, then you get 6, and then you get 10. That is like the final tier. So she is right below the final tier in terms of the war thing. And she also has 100 might, so she'll get that pretty quickly. So, I mean, that's kind of just how I would say is the best way to promote in terms of officer rank and stuff. But here's the cherry on top, which I will talk about later. Getting that role or getting a very high position in the military, it actually gets you the chance to get the war minister opportunity, which is probably one of the things that you really want to get. If you are the general of, just a general, you're able to, I'm super confused. Yeah. If you become a general, you're able to basically get one of these official positions eventually. Now, that's unless if you obviously assigned as a commander, but that's different. But anyways, in terms of that, that's how that kind of works. And you kind of got to pray that you get the war minister role. But as long as you get that, you can start kind of working into the next stage, which is basically taking over the entire ministry. And as long as you honestly keep your person in there, they should be able to promote the ranks into Grand Minister and then even Chancellor. I mean, that's essentially what one of my characters did over here. And you also have to make sure that your political performance is pretty good. If it's not, then it's not very great. So over here, one of my characters actually got all the way to the position of Chancellor, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, they passed away at 61, which I really didn't expect, but hey, it is what it is. So, that's kind of like the war aspect for it. The last part in this early phase would probably be just the spouses, so either husband or wife. So, obviously, if you're a guy, you can you want to continue to the next generation, and the only way to do that is obviously by marrying two people of the opposite gender and getting like a child. So for example, my main character right here, now here's the thing how this is kind of works, which is unfortunate because I kind of went a little crazy because I kind of wanted to get as many children out and try to basically make more moves in terms of doing stuff. And it's kind of rough because there's only so much you can really do, and sometimes in some cases you're also forced to like get them. So for example, there are certain stats that these characters have. So for example, let me see. Yeah, for example, she's actually a member of the royal family, and essentially, I was kind of forced to get him married to her because no matter what, it does increase my political performance, I believe, and it also helps a little bit, but yeah. So essentially, this kind of just helps a bit in terms of that. But now, obviously, it is a bit confusing on how to work this out, but it's not too bad. So the thing is that when you're playing this, your character in terms of one marriage, so let's example, you can have like, let's say 10 like husbands or wives for one character, but in the end, in total, your character can only have 3 children. I don't know why did they set this as a thing, but I'm assuming it's probably just to maybe make sure that you're not overwhelmed or something. I don't really know. But yeah, so for example, this character right here, my character that I made at the beginning, I may have like all these wives, but in the end, I only have 3 children. Same for this dude. Basically 1, 2, and 3 children. It's the same case for this. This was one of my other characters. Sadly, one of the wives actually passed away. Actually, 2 of them. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Over here, 1, 2, and then unfortunately did not make another child in time. But yeah, essentially they can only make a total of 3 children per family. So then I just started just literally only marrying 1 because that makes it easy. And unfortunately, in some cases, you will be forced to break the bonds with your original spouse based on kind of like the situation in hand. But it's not too big of a deal. But yeah. So as you can see, that isn't too hard, and I do recommend. There are some recommendations that I do have for people who want to have the best stats for their child. So when you're looking at the person that you want to marry to your character, you want to pay attention to their stats. So for example, right here they have a talent in art, and they have no skills, which this is fine because you can learn that through special actions such as reading. And then you don't really have to care about these stats. The most important thing is this stat right here, the talent stat. These stats kind of matter, but they do learn them over time as long as you give them teachers and stuff. So for example, you could go to any one of your lineage and you can train them and you can give them books. And by giving them books, you can also assign them a teacher, and the teacher will honestly increase the stats based on what they're good at. So for example, this guy's only mainly good at business, so he'll increase their stats based on business. You can also do study, but honestly, it takes like 4 years, and if you want the best, 2 years if you want the worst, I think. It takes too long, and honestly, it's not that worth it. And another thing you can do is give them equipment, such as the whip sword or the jade pendant. Now, I do recommend to actually just straight up just buy a bunch of these. So you can go to the smithy and straight up just buy a bunch of them. It's not that much after you do the method that I was talking about, literally using the gold thing. It's not that much. And then you can obviously buy them a horse, but you don't really have to. I kind of just found that worthless if you're not going to go on a study trip. And there's not really use to really have them. And another thing you can do is also go to these stores and buy books. Books are pretty important if you want to increase stats in your family. But other than that, that's about it. And then if you want to go get charisma, I mean, you can just buy these. So, I mean, that's kind of about it for the early game. For the next part is kind of the mid game. So the mid game is uh, kind of ambiguous. Now, there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, one of them was, yet again, like I said, you really want to get the War Minister role, and you gotta pray that you get it. I have gotten it multiple times through just getting assigned it through because my character has a lot of like prestige and renown for the wars. That's why I got a lot of those, and that's a good thing because that allows me to do um, more things in terms of being able to influence the government. And after you get that war minister role, you can actually start asking the empire to like reclaim it because you are an official and you can ask the emperor, hey, can you send the royal army to there? And they'll do it. And I actually would to talk about how these wars are fought when you become the war minister. So when you're the war minister, there are a few things that you do want to pay attention to. So for example, right here, I'm actually going to send the army here. So the most important stats to pay attention to is army size and morale. Morale is probably more important to pay attention to because you can match the army size, but morale is something that you really do need to pay attention to. So the lower morale you have, the worse that your army will perform. And if your army is at say 6%, it's going to perform really bad. Because especially since the army that you will usually send is usually at 100 morale, which means they're going to lose less troops and they're going to do much better in terms of the war. So for example, I could actually just straight up reclaim it myself if I wanted to. So, let me see. Yep, I'll just send quite a few. Well, I'll take some more from the Royal Army. So for example, I could send 8,000 here and they'll have a morale of 69%. But I don't want to take too many from the other provinces because it's not that good. So, I mean, this is essentially what you can do. So you send a bunch of people in the army, and I mean, you can just start the war if I wanted to. Right here. So, see, right now we're running out low on vegetables, so there's not really much I can do there, but it's okay. So I can do this, and the daybreak campaign will begin. I'm not going to do it right now because obviously I'm in pause and I am doing this. So what you want to do is basically just keep on sending them and try to take the entire place down. Now, I would say pay attention to the morale because you don't want to lose too many troops, and it takes a much longer time if you do try to fight them with the same morale. So for example, this thing right here, these guys have a 95% morale. If you try to fight these guys with the same amount of troops, it's going to take a really long time. So unless you have overwhelming might, like 20,000 people fighting it, it's not really worth to do it. That's just a fact. But yeah, after you basically reclaim everything, you can click the next node, which is this is what I'm gonna go for next. But basically, after you claim this, you can go for the next node, and then you can just keep on rinsing and repeating. It's kind of just basically how it works. I did not know that this was an area that you could actually claim. What the heck? This too? Huh. That's surprising. I didn't know that. But anyways, that's kind of it in terms of war. Now, you kind of may have noticed like these little villages and stuff. These are actually farmlands and farmhouses that I have that basically make me things to basically sell. So for example, these guys produce grains and crops and stuff, and these guys net yield me grain. Now, obviously, it takes a long time to collect it all, but I do have a manager that actually takes care of that for me. I just have to set the rent to a certain amount, and they'll send me an amount of their crop to me so that I can obtain it. Now, there are a few things that you do want to keep note of. In my opinion, if you want to develop a village, I would recommend to just focus on 1 or 2 products that your village does make. In my first village, I tried to put as many stuff in there, and honestly, it's not worth it. It takes a lot of effort to build one, and honestly, it's pretty annoying. So, in my opinion, the best form of action would literally just be focus on one thing, one material, and kind of just have that be your main source. So for example, mine is grain, and I think grain is probably the easiest thing to do. After that, I would recommend to just take it as a blueprint so you can export it and then import the layer into another place. This is a 16-acre plot, so it can only go into another 16-acre plot. You could try to do like a 4-acre plot into like a 9-acre or a 16-acre, but honestly, I just focus on trying to build certain plots in certain ways. So for example, 16 acres plots, I try to make them specifically for grain. 9-acre plots, I specifically make them for the fertilizers, such as over here, this is a cattle pen and they make fertilizer, which is obviously feces. And basically, I can use that to basically fertilize the location. So for example, this is the fertilizer thing, and what you can do is use them to increase the fertility of the place to make them yield more of the crop. I mean, and then you can obviously use that crop and sell it. Now, obviously, I'm not near December. December is where the rent gets taken. That's when you get the big trade check. I believe I get about 16 million per 16 million per month, and honestly, I don't really need that. I mean, you can see how I have a lot of money already, and I'm getting a million a month, and I could just place more if I really wanted to make more, but it's not that big of a deal. And also, I have this fief over here, which quite literally yields me almost 700,000, which is pretty good. I won't be talking about the fief too much because honestly, this is something new that I've gotten. And honestly, this would make the video way too long too, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But yeah, and that's kind of about it though. I don't think there's too much more that you really need to know other than like those are the main factors that do affect the game. And then the mid game is kind of just you kind of just playing how you want to, and then late game is really just you can do whatever the hell you want. You can probably burn the whole thing down if you really wanted to. Yeah, I'm serious. Or you can maybe even become the king, the emperor. I mean, for example, I could literally go here. And obviously I'm not going to do it, but eventually you can actually see the emperor. And maybe you could probably execute him with your own character. Now, I won't say how it ends for you because I really don't know myself because I don't plan to do it. But yeah, you could literally just make it go all to hell if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's about it. There's not really much more to really talk about. And I'm actually surprised I actually have this relationship because it feels like every single time the royals hate me. Because I think in one case, the emperor had like a -5 relation, or no, a -50 relationship with me. So a bit confused. Oh, right here. See? So this is the emperor. It's quite young, 22. I can't believe he's only good at art. It's kind of weird in my opinion, but hey, it is what it is. So like, yeah, I could like literally send one of my guys to go visit him, interact, and here you go. So I can either pay tribute in females, treasure, flatter, slander, regicide, or replace. Yeah, I'm not going to do that though, because I'm not that interested in power yet. I kind of like my position. I'm rich. But yeah, that's about it. There's not really too much in this game. I think the game is still getting developed. I believe it's like $15 or $20. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, so I think it's like 15 bucks. It does go on discount though, occasionally, like 10%. But yeah, that's about it for this game though. There's not really too much into this. I feel like they're definitely adding more, so there's definitely that to look forward to. But that's about it for this. So, I don't know if you guys learned something. I'm glad, because yeah, I also kind of learned a little bit from kind of just recapping from everything that I've done so far. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, just ask them in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. See you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.